Hey, how's it going? Ready to tackle this review on non-renewable energy sources? I know exams can be a little stressful, but don't worry, we're going to go through it together. Think of this as a quick study session to get you feeling super confident. So let's jump right in. Okay, so here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll ask, what are fossil fuels? Then we'll look at solid fuels, like coal. After that, we'll get into liquid fuels, the story of oil. Then we'll talk about gas and why it's considered an ideal fuel. And finally, we'll take a quick look at something called fracking. Sound good? Let's do it.
All right, so first up, what are fossil fuels?
Okay, so basically, fossil fuels are energy sources like coal, oil, and gas. And the fossil part is the big clue here. They actually come from super, super old plants and animals. We're talking millions of years ago. So all that energy we use today, it's literally ancient energy trapped underground.
But here's a really important question for your exam. Why do we call them non-renewable? Any ideas?
Exactly. It's because they take millions of years to form. We can't just make more. So once we use them all up, well, they're gone. They will run out one day. That's why we call them non-renewable. It's a really key concept. Okay, let's move on to our first type of fossil fuel, solid fuels. And we're going to talk about the big one, coal. So coal is a huge deal. It's one of the world's main fuels because, well, it's cheap and there's a lot of it. But there's a downside. It's also the dirtiest of the fossil fuels. It causes a lot of pollution. Now, it gets a little more detailed here, because there isn't just one type of coal. There are actually a few main types. We're going to look at three: bituminous, anthracite, and lignite. Let's break them down. First up is bituminous coal. This is a really important one. Why? Because this is the type we use most often to make electricity. It produces a ton of heat, which is perfect for power plants. Okay, next we have anthracite. Now, this type of coal is special. It's valuable because it burns very, very cleanly. It makes very little smoke, which is a big plus. And the last type is lignite. The key thing to remember about lignite is that it has a lot of moisture. That just means it has a lot of water inside it. And because of that water, it doesn't produce as much heat when it burns. Okay, quick pop quiz. Of those three types we just talked about, do you remember which one is the cleanest?
Yep, you got it. It's anthracite.
Awesome. All right, we've covered solid fuels. Now let's talk about liquid fuels. And the big one here is oil. So what exactly is crude oil? Well, its story is pretty amazing. It's a liquid fuel that formed from tiny little creatures, microorganisms, that lived in the ocean millions and millions of years ago. When they died, they sank to the bottom. And over a very, very long time, they turned into the oil we use today. Here's a great vocabulary word for you: seeped. It's a verb, and it just means to flow or leak very slowly through little holes or cracks. You know, like how water might seep through a tiny crack in a cup? In our story, the oil seeped through cracks in the rocks. Okay, we've done solid, we've done liquid. Now for our third type, gas. And you'll often hear natural gas called an ideal fuel. So why is it ideal? Well, here's the main reason. It leaves no ash or other waste. Think back to coal. Gas is much cleaner. When you burn it, there's nothing left over. No messy ash. That's a huge advantage. And that brings us to our last little topic, a quick look at fracking. This is a special way to get natural gas out of the ground. So this diagram here gives you an idea of how it works. Fracking is all about getting natural gas that's trapped way, way down in underground rocks. Let's look at the steps. It's basically a three-step process. First, they drill straight down, deep underground. Step 2, the drill actually turns and drills sideways, or horizontally, right into the rock where the gas is. And third, they pump a liquid down at high pressure to crack the rock open and get the gas out. That's how they extract it. Okay, let's just quickly review the most important vocabulary we learned today. We have fossil fuel, bituminous, anthracite, crude oil, the verb seeped, and fracking. These are great words to know for your exam. And that's it! You did some great work today. You've got this. Just stay calm, remember these key ideas, and you'll do great. Good luck on your exam.